Hey, this is Keisha, Reconcile to Love. I just want to go a little deeper than sometimes what I do with the TikTok videos. Now, this topic, like when you're coming out of this narcissistic situation, I'm going to show you how like this attack is physical and spiritual. So people that talk about it from both perspectives, both of them are like half right. But one thing you have to understand is that this spiritual dominates anything. So this narcopath demon that was summoned from the pit, it was sent to you because of altars and covenants and curses in your bloodline. Understand, because you were conditioned for the narcissist. Now they talk about DNA, right? But they also talk about this new thing called epigenetics, which what they say influences the gene expression of the DNA. So let me break that down. What that means is that when you have a gene, like say the addiction gene, right? Your parents drunk or whatever, then that means that that child is more susceptible to addiction because of the DNA. When they do a blood draw, they can tell if somebody has a high risk for diabetes or high blood pressure because of the DNA and the family bloodline. Get it? Stay with me. Now, when you also look at, if a gene is turned off, that may be the emotional gene. That's because a parent or grandparent or somebody, they had gave up their emotions with the epigenetics, and then that gene just does not work. That's how you can get some parts of the brain that are just not lit up. That's in the narcopath. Now, I'm gonna really go deep right here, and this about to blow your mind, because when you look at this picture, look what the science say. These changes happen. Okay, mom started smoking. Guess what? Now baby genetically has a gene expression to what? Look at this. Third generation. You got third and fourth generation. Now I remember something in the Bible. It literally said when the parents, grandparents, whoever, and the witches and sorcery and divination and all of that, these curses come down the bloodline, he's going to curse them and their children to the third and fourth generation. So a lot of times when you're dealing with a narcopath or a narcissist, looking at family, you probably came from a narcissistic parent or grandparent or a great grandparent. Somebody else was like that devil, and they may or may not repent. It doesn't matter. Where you're at now, you got to understand that you were in a fight for your life. That thing that you was laid up to, covenant with, married to, in relationship with, had children by, was out to unalive you, period. That was the end destruction. It don't matter how many times they said, I love you. Oh, you're the only one for me. You changed my life. You make me feel like a man. They do all of that stuff. I've never felt this excited before. I've never been this in love before. I love our family. I'm so happy to be your husband. Blah, blah, blah. They do all of that stuff, right? To everybody. They do it to everybody. It's like a spread. But let me explain. When they're saying those words, they don't mean it, because a demon is inside of their brain saying, how can they gonna make you say that? They hate you. Look at you. You being soft. Look at you. You know we don't even like women. Like they do all of that. And so when you got this demonic power operating, because remember, they live double, triple, quadruple, all that quintuplet lives. They sit there and have a wife at home, leave the door and have a whole different lifestyle. They can be a whole whore, prostitute, whatever, behind your back, then go to church in a third stop with the third life and lay hands and preach and act like they're casting out demons, but they're transferring demons, because these people, because they've given themselves over to the devil, they are walking with a spirit of darkness and death and decay. They do not have life. So they go around people who are hurt and broken, and they suck their soul, their energy, their life force. Because when they can go around some people, that those negative emotions, that is what feeds the demons. So if their demons are fed, they get satisfied. It's not just that, oh gosh, they get so much pleasure just out of hurting you, or I don't know why they like to hurt people. I don't know why they smirk. When you see that smirk, that's a mocking spirit. You have to understand spiritual warfare, because you are in a fight for your life. When dealing with these things, that's a mocking spirit you're seeing. When they're sitting there and they love bombing, they're lying, that is a spirit of witchcraft, sorcery, and divination, and that is a deceiving spirit. And then you have to recognize recognize them, and then you have to start warring against it. Like, I bind that mocking spirit, I bind that spirit of Leviathan, I bind that spirit of Jezebel, I bind that witchcraft, I bind the witch. You know, you have to do these things, but you must be separated from the direct connect covenant in order to do it. So if you had a sexual soul tie, there's a covenant involved, because that consummates a marriage, whether you're married or not. In the spirit realm, in the law of God, you're married. So then that is a marriage that has to be broken in the spirit. You got to renounce a covenant. Now, if you're married in the physical, you got two covenants you got to deal with, because these were demonic covenants. And you do have a church, and they just sit there and they be like, well, you got to pray for them, you got to work this out. Quit it. They lying. Let me explain, because I grew up in church and I love them, and there's a lot of brothers and sisters that they just don't know, but they deceived. But let me explain, like, when they are in church, the church leaders and ministers need to understand this, because people are not living. There was a story the other day, the pastor, he didn't unalive the wife. People are not making it out of this, and the church sit there and they're blind, and they know the answers because they're supposed to know God, they know Jesus. So let me explain, when you're married to them, it is like being married to a Satanist, to a warlock. They would not tell you stay married to the wizard and you're supposed to be serving the Lord. They would tell you you need to divorce that wizard because they're practicing evil. The narcissist is practicing evil. They're equally, he or she, practicing evil on a daily basis. If they're going to church, there's no worship. They cannot worship a holy God. Even if they singing and they doing all that for the accolades, for the show, they are singing for attention to themselves, so people can say, look how good I sing. So people can say, oh girl, you sang that song so good. Oh boy, you can blow. That is it. They are not giving glory to God because they are cut out from him. They're not hearing a word. So when they're prophesying to you, they're prophesying to you because they're talking about, oh, God told me to tell you, like, oh, God's going to heal you. He's going to give you this husband. Oh, God's going to give you this house. God heard your cries. Who don't know you hurting? When you at church and you crying, common sense, you're hurting. Narcissists can pick up on emotions, but they not hearing from God. That is a point that's very clear that you have to understand, because I'm addressing in this message the evil workings, the physical and the natural combination of this demonic person that was sent to destroy you. They were sent to unalive you, like the demons inside of them that has taken them over. They are demonized. Make no point about it. It doesn't matter if their blood is reptilian. It doesn't matter if they're Nephilim. It doesn't matter if they were made in a lab, a clone, whatever. The point is, once you are demonized and you start to take on the image of the enemy, it makes changes to your DNA to the third and fourth generation. We see that, right? Just like when you make changes to God, you stop doing those behaviors, you start your praying and worshiping, you take on the image of Christ. He make changes in your DNA. See, this is how this works. When you understand the laws of the spirit, you will understand how to get free. Because a narcissist didn't break your heart. They broke your spirit. They broke your inner man. They broke you so that altars can be formed in those fragmented soul parts, so they can steal your destiny. When they steal your soul, when they say they sit there and they energy drainers or energy soul suckers or whatever, they are swapping destinies. When they go off and you're like, oh my gosh, they look so happy. That's your happiness. When they like, oh my gosh, they went out and they got them a car. That was your car. That was your blessings, because your heart didn't have a heart of wickedness. Your heart was able to love. God looks at the heart. Even when you're being worked on and purified, look at Rahab the prostitute. God had a plan for her. She had a heart. She helped them. So God looks at the heart. He understands some things we was coming into this world with. We didn't know what we didn't know. We was born into stuff. Some of our family and parents and whatever, they probably taught us how to do spells or magic, how to manipulate, how to enchant, how to do things. God knows that. He know that was not our fault. We were trained that way, but he gives us an opportunity to be trained different. So this knowledge is coming to you when you're broken and when you're hurt, so that the curse can stop, so the curse don't get worse. Because there was a bewitching that happened. Either some parents took some fingernails and hair or whatever and dedicated them to a witch doctor or whatever to have you, or to get a person or whatever, and they dedicated you to Satan and his kingdom, or to a lodge, or to whatever, a cult, or however. Or some people, they may have generationally inherited some things because of things that their parents and ancestors did through repetitive sin and iniquity, through repetitive practicing of blind witchcraft, where they may not even know that they were into witchcraft, but they went into rebellion because of their pain and hurts. Something happened to them. They were abused. And because of that stuff, they ended up having a heart of, there's no love, it's me against the world. And then they carried that on, and that went into blind witchcraft, because then they start rebelling and manipulating and lying and cheating and stealing and doing all of that to survive. So you can have the survival blind witchcraft, or you can have the intentional occult witchcraft that led you to this. Nevertheless, now that you dealt with the narcissist, you understand where you're at, because the narcissist is coming for that bloodline. These are like high ruling powers. People have relationship problems and all of that stuff. They might break up. They're still amicable. It's no beef. It's not anything like that. Not with the occult bloodline. With that, you get a master witch or warlock. That's the narcissist. They have the ability to gain unauthorized, demonized access to the spirit realm, because they operate in the realm of familiar spirits. Those are spirits that are familiar with the things you like, the things you want to say, the foods you like. They study you. They have a monitor spirit. They have all of this around. That is high ruling supernatural powers. They can do signs and wonders. You'd be like, oh my gosh, you're so talented at everything. How do you do that? Because their vessel is a vessel for the devil. Like, they got many demons. You want a jumping jack demon? They got that too. You want a demon that can do backflips? Oh, they can do that too. They can do whatever, because those are demons that are using their body. So when you have these type of demons, because if you notice, even in a bed, they don't perform the same. They perform a really, really exotic way, take you all the way there with all their little snakes and tongues, but then they be dry all the time, or then they be like this, and they're like, that is because the demons, they were initiating your soul into the temple through the sex magic. That's why it was bamboozling and put your mind in a trap where you're thinking about this bum. That's why they did that. That was a demon doing it. But then any other times it's dysfunction. Okay, the stuff ain't working, or it's real quick to the point. That is how this works, because you were bewitched. And it doesn't matter which witch was which. It just mattered that you're dealing with a witch or a warlock, and you were bewitched. And that's why they come in pairs or threes. You have not just the narc. Usually it's threes. You got the narc, the little witch narc mama, and you got the little narc X. So you always got this triangulation 3 witch covenant thing they got, because the demons, the satanic occult and all of that stuff, they have to do things ritualistically. That's why they want you to eat. That's why everything is defiling. A lot of the shame that comes from the breakup is because they defiled you in some way, shape, or form. They have to. It's a defiling ritual. They do the magic, the bewitching. Like, this is like a pentagram thing. Then they do not only that, they do the eating, they do the sexual defilement, they do the eating, they do the all of the things that they talk to you, the things that they say. They take some body parts or body fluids. They do all of that. Then they try to get you on some type of substance. They either try to get you drinking or get you doing some type of drugs. All of that comes with the satanic ritual to capture your soul. And so your soul can belong to them, and they can manipulate it, do what they want, go off and be with 10 people, come back and you still waiting, go off and do all of this stuff until you deal with the curse. You got to renounce that thing. God, I'm so sorry I was with this thing. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Get to the root. God, take this out my heart. Whatever it takes, tear down altars, covenants. Let me see. You got to go hard, because everything that they were doing to you, remember, the third and fourth generation, they were doing it to them too. The children, they were being traumatized. The children was having mind changes. The children was having all these perverted dreams and stuff. All of these changes were not just happening to you, but was happening to your offspring. They don't care if it's their own children. They have no natural affection. It's in a Bible, it's written. In these days, they will be without natural affection. These people are wicked. You gotta understand. Don't matter how familiar they are. It don't matter if we have family members that act just like them and we used to it. They're wicked. They're wicked, wicked, wicked. And it ain't the movie Wicked. They're trying to get people conditioned to think wicked is good, good is evil, and evil is good. No, wicked will take you out. People sickly. You got so many daggone RIPs, RIHs. The spirit of witchcraft and sorcery and divination, all that, it brings infirmity, it brings the spirit of death, it brings all of that stuff, calamities, car accidents, things that happen that don't ever happen, like your bumper completely falls off, tires fall off, medical stuff. You got these rashes, you don't even know where they come from, your hair fall out, your eyelashes and stuff fall out, all of this stuff happens to you and you don't even know why, because you're being bewitched. Don't matter which witch is which. They just want you in the Lulu. Like Oz, it'd be just like that. You'd be in a whole different world with all the witch. You don't know if you're dealing with the good witch or the bad witch, but they all there to cast spells and to destroy your life. So when you're dealing with this narcissism thing, I hope I made it very clear, because I understand in the psychological field how we got to deal with this, how we got to tell it. We can see the brain changes. You can sing a lot of things in science, and you can help the chemistry part of the soul, but you cannot help the imaginations part of the soul or the consciousness part of the soul. That is the parts of the soul also that Satan builds up strongholds to keep you in rumination and mental loops. And then they have this chip thing that they want to put out there, because they even understand that this thing comes from a mental loop trap. It's literally a mental soul trap. So understand what I'm saying. Like, this is so important for you to get free, so important for you to stay free. Do not worry about the new supply. They gone. They are lost. If they are co-signing with that demon, that narc devil demon thing, you already free and out of it and on your way to recovery. They just now getting started. They have no idea that Satan has came to their door. Keep them in the Lulu. Don't think about them. You can't. You don't even have time, because your bloodline is at risk. Forget what they doing. They came into a covenant with a whole devil. They may be part of witchcraft. In this day and age, you never know. But understand what I'm saying. It's like, it wasn't just a physical relationship attack. It was a divine assignment. There is something inside of you that is so good and divine, your heart, and so many people will be blessed by you, that the devil had to send this thing to try to take you out. So I hope this helps.